Oy vey, the Christians are at it again with their buffoonery. This guy is claiming that when I was exposing his master-inspiring philosophy, aka the Angry Bird, on the Bible's support for child marriage, I used the Talmud to contradict what Jesus allegedly said on the issue. He also derided me for skipping over this topic when I was refuting the Angry Bird. Yeah, even if any of this was true, it's not, as you will see. Let's just forget the thrashing the Angry Bird suffered on nearly every other topic, and just focus on this one minor distraction, because that's what Christians do. Okay, let's get to it. First of all, the reason I didn't bother to make a video on Jesus and Jairus' daughter is because I have already done a refutation on that elsewhere. I have an article on my blog from 3 years ago that discusses this issue, and I also did a Twitter thread last year that exposes the cherry-picking of the Christians. So long story short, the Christians always run to Mark and Matthew to determine the age of Jairus' daughter. Both describe the girl as a karasion in Greek, which simply means a girl, without any determination of age, and that she was 12 years old. Mark 5:39 also describes her as a paidion, which usually means a young child, but can in this case actually mean young girl. The Christians argue that Jesus did not follow the Jewish custom of regarding 12-year-olds as fit for marriage. Otherwise, the Gospels wouldn't have called her a karasion. The problem is that the Christians forget that there is also the Gospel of Luke, and Luke muddied the water by saying that the girl was about 12 years old. So that can mean that she was not exactly 12. Maybe she was 11 years old and was about to turn 12. One of the Jewish views at the time was that when a girl was exactly 12 years old, she was still a child. But when she reached 12 years and 1 day, she was a young woman, fit for marriage. Even Christian commentators like John Gill explained this. So, let's just hypothetically say that Jairus' daughter was exactly 12 years old. That doesn't prove that Jesus considered all 12-year-olds as children. If she was older than 12 years and 1 day, it is still possible that he would have referred to her as a young woman, fit for marriage. In addition, even if Jesus considered all 12-year-olds as children, what about 13-year-olds and beyond? Also, as I showed in my Twitter thread, the Greek word karasion is used in the Septuagint for Esther. The Septuagint was the version of the Bible usually used by the writers of the New Testament. Remember, karasion means girl, but if the Christians are correct, and Jairus' daughter, a karasion, was a mere child, then it would mean that Esther was also just a child. But then we would have to conclude that the alleged inspired author of the book of Esther was a filthy pervert. Jewish and Christian traditions have no clue who actually wrote the book, but theories range from Esther's cousin/adoptive father, Mordecai, as well as Ezra and Nehemiah. This is because despite referring to her as a Na'ara in Hebrew, which is equivalent to the Greek karasion, the author felt it important to note how she was very beautiful and had a lovely figure. The author describes how an alleged child had a lovely figure. Yikes! Now, we have two options here, and neither one will be palatable for the Christians. Either a karasion always meant a literal child, in which case an inspired biblical author used creepy and perverted language to describe such a child in the book of Esther, or, like the Hebrew equivalent Na'ara, the word is more complex and can include females of different ages, including young women of marriageable age, which would mean that girls as young as 12 were considered of marriageable age in the time of Jesus, and he did not protest. In other words, Jesus was perfectly fine with what today would be called child marriage. Sorry, Christians.
وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَزَهَقَ الْبَاطِلُ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا